and welcome to this video, which is the first out of 3 in a little series that I have decided to call the Madness Project. And why have I decided that then? Well, as you probably know by now, or not know, I don't know, I am on my last year in school and I'm very bad at explaining the Swedish school system in English, but basically, the last year in school here in Sweden, we have a big project that we have full charge over ourselves. And my project is a monologue that is held by a woman living in the 19th century, or to be more precise, the late 1850s or early 1860s. And of course, that required a good costume. And that is what this series is about. It's about me making this costume. And why is this madness? Where should I start? I have a short amount of time. I have never done a costume from this time period before. Never. I want to make a costume based on only Swedish extant garments. And well, there are some of them, but not many. And pictures of them are not really that good. There are no detailed pictures. There are no pictures of the construction or the inside of the garment or anything. I'm going to completely hand sew all of this, and well, there are pieces in this costume that I haven't even seen a picture on. I have no idea how they are constructed. I have no idea how they should look. So since my goal is to make this as historically accurate I ever can, this is going to be hard. So the first part in this series will be about a little corset or vest, pair of bodies, stays, I don't know what to call them, a supportive garment in a way. So before I talk too much, let's jump back in time a few weeks where I started with this garment. It is snow outside and it's December, which makes me so incredibly happy. And today is the day when we are going to start with my stays. When I started researching the clothing of the 1850s and 1860s in Sweden, I found no evidence of this garment existing. I only found that, the upper classes wore corsets and not the working people. So that was something I didn't thought was included into this project, but it seems like it maybe is. I started asking around in sewing groups on Facebook and we discussed this, and long story short, I got links to different databases and those links led me to corsets. And these corsets seems like something that has belonged to women of the working class. Unfortunately, there are no details about the construction, there are no close-ups on seams or the inside or anything, and the quality of the pictures aren't that good, so I don't really know how to make one. And it also seems like all of those corsets, as they are called in the text, they look really different. So I don't think that they all have the same construction. It seems like they differs a lot. So I'm not really sure about which one I should base mine on, and I'm not really sure how to construct it. I don't even know how to start. I haven't done the 19th century before. All of this is completely new for me. I mean, it would have helped me if I knew more about, general sewing techniques in the 19th century, because then I could, apply them to this project, because they would have been very likely. But I don't have any experience of this, so this is going to be very hard. But I think I will start with the mock-up. That's always a good starting point. I have this one where it seems like it's only 2 front pieces and 1 back piece. It doesn't seem to be that complicated, so if I can, I would be very happy if I could do something like this. So I think I will start with a piece of fabric and try to drape it directly onto my body and see if I can make something similar to this. Yeah, let's try that. side seam in the upper part is straight, it seems like it in a way, and the first time it actually curves is around the hips. So I think the first thing we're going to do is pin it quite tight, but not too tight, and according to the grain line in the upper part of the body here with some pins. And then I'm going to pin the front as well, just because it seems like it's curved. What about the back? I think I must fetch my phone and look at it again. I have this little Pinterest board where I have saved everything about this project. What? Whoa! Actually, it has a straight front seam. How could I not remember that? As you see here, it's completely straight. And then the sides are curved. I don't really see how this will be that tight fitting when it has a straight front seam, a straight back seam, and just small curves around the waist and the sides. I will have to redo this then. I think I have an idea on how to solve the fitting problem that I'm having right now. And that one is to make 2 front seams. The front is constructed of 3 pieces, and the seams are going in the front here. They are quite straight, but they're going there. And I think that might solve the problem that I'm having right now. So let's try and pin those seams and see how that goes. It feels like something is completely wrong here. I don't think that this garment and this construction is made to be this tight fitting as it is right now on me, because this doesn't look good. I made the front seams, as you can see, they're not really that even, but I will fix that later, of course, if I'm deciding to keep them. It's like strange things happening here in the back and under my bust and at the waist in the front, and these seams doesn't look that good. I honestly think that this pattern isn't made to be this tight fitting, because as you can see, all these corsets or vests, or whatever they are called, they are every seam is so straight. Like the front seams in this, they are completely straight, and I don't think mine is that. They aren't even close to that. If I would lay these out as pattern pieces, they would be like... So what I think is going on here is that the person that wore this was much smaller than I am, and with no curves at all. Or, what I find more likely, it isn't made to be tight fitting, which mine is. But that's a thing that I don't understand. They describe this garment as a corset, and corsets are tight, and this isn't even tight. This just feels like a tight shirt, but it seems like it's way too tight for this construction, because it pulls in very strange ways. So something is wrong here. Alright, I think I will have to cut the neckline out to be able to see the whole thing in its full glory, and then decide what I'm going to do with this. It was quite hard to really know how to draw the neckline and around the arms, but when I finally was happy with how the mock-up looked, I removed all the pins, and now I have some sort of pattern here. I don't know if you can see, but I have 3 pieces here. The front, the side front, and the other side front, and they don't really look the same because I am so asymmetrical. But what I will do now is that I will cut them all out and try to make them as even as possible, and try to make sense of all these lines everywhere. And I will also cut a straight line down the back of my back piece, because that's going to be divided into 2, because I think now I first thought that I was going to have my lacing at the front, but now when I think about it, I think I want to have it in the back. I'm not really sure, because I know that that will lead to much more work every time I'm going to put it on. on myself. But you know, most of the originals have back lacing, and if I am going to have a 3-pieced front, I don't think I will have the lacing there, because that will lead to a front with too much going on, I think. As I thought, they're not really looking anything similar to the originals, which of course isn't really a good thing. As you can see here, we have a curve on the sides at the front. This one is front laced though, but mine is only going inwards at the front and at the back. And that differs a lot from this one, for example, and this one. And of course that has something to do with, I mean, I cut them off at the waist right now because the waist looked so awful before. So now they're just going down to the waist and then stops immediately, which isn't, I don't think that's really ideal at all. But if I was to continue, it would have begun to pull in wrong ways. And then we come back to the constant problem, which is this is probably way too tight. And I know that. But at the same time, I really want to achieve that tight silhouette. I mean, this is called a corset, and if it is going to give me any support at all, it needs to be tight. Yeah, take this picture for example. This is a picture from 1852. Okay, look at this girl here. Is it just me, or is her body very tight? And that could of course be something with the bodice itself. I mean, that could be tight of course, but if they are wearing corsets underneath, why shouldn't they be tight? I'm doing some fatal mistakes here, and I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to solve them. I mean, that's maybe why the upper classes went for another construction, because they understood that that construction that I'm going for isn't gonna work when you want something tighter and something more fashionable. And so I'm quite sure that that's one of the things that made them change the pattern construction. I don't know, I think I should take this tomorrow instead. I'll stop now. Yesterday after I said goodnight was that I tried to make my first mock-up. Trying it on right now, and I mean, it looks decent. Okay, as I thought, these seams, I know that they aren't really even right now. I will try to fix that later on, but they really behaves like princess seams. I mean, it gives me a good shape, of course, but is it a good one? I don't know. Is this historically accurate? I don't know. I actually did another mock-up this morning, and that looks awful as well. I just based it on this one, but I removed these seams and placed it just with one. You know, it was one pair of stays or corset or whatever you want to call it that had small gores here, and I tried that, but I couldn't make that work. So it seems like I will go with this construction. But one thing is sure, and that is that I need to make a lot of adjustments to make this one work. Okay, so one of the first things that I saw was that this seam is uneven. So I will just draw a line where I want to have it. Here is where the side seam should go, and right now it goes here, like 5 centimeters too far in the front, and that has nothing to do with the pattern construction. That's just because I'm so asymmetrical, which means that this side takes a lot more fabric than this side. So that's quite hard, but I think I want to change it actually. When you finally are happy with how your mock-up looks, you can take it off and take it apart so you can look at all the pattern pieces. And then if you want to be on the safe side, you can always make a second mock-up with all the adjustments. But if I'm going to be honest, I don't think I will have the time nor the energy to do that. So I just hope that if I'm following all the marks, that I will get a result that is good enough. I hope so anyway. A couple of weeks ago I found this fabric at a secondhand store, and it's an old bed sheet, and I'm not really sure if it's cotton or linen, but one of those two anyway. And I don't think that really matters because the extant corsets or stays or whatever they are made of one of those two materials. So I think this will be great. Well, I don't know about this. Obviously there are too much seam allowances here, so it pulls in a very strange way under the arms, and it's still too much fabric here in the front. I don't know if you can see, but I don't need all that. So yeah, there are a lot of alterations that needs to be done. It feels almost worse now than before, but I still don't know what to do about the lining, because I feel like one layer is maybe not enough, but a second layer maybe could begin to pull the whole thing. I know I had the problem with my 18th century jacket. Well, the lining in that one was not forgiving at all, but in that case I used both wool and linen, and wool, as we know, are more stretchy than linen, so that became a big problem back then. But now the lining will be in the same material, so maybe it's better, but I really feel that this fabric was not forgiving at all. You know what? The original that I now have decided to go after, in the description of that one it is written that it has 2 layers. So I think that is what I will go with as well. So I think I will just take this one now and then just cut out a second layer. Okay, so I've sewn it together and this is how it looks. I think it actually looks better than I ever dared to hope, especially in the front. The back, I mean, it could have been better, but honestly I don't really know what I would have changed to solve that. So well, I actually think that I will go with this. Now when I tried it on, I just took some ordinary sewing thread and sewed myself into it. But I actually think that my next step will be to make the lacing holes. I actually think that I'm ready for that, and that I actually will go with this because I think that it looks as good as I will possibly get right now. Okay, so let's just try to get out of this again. I have looked at this picture 1,000 times now, and for some reason it hasn't occurred to me that this actually has brass eyelets and not sewed lacing holes. So it seems like I will have to make some, and by some I mean 25. I might have some brass wire that I could use, but that might be too thin, and I also have no idea about the construction, which is always a good combination. I have never done this before, as I think you can see. I have pinned the eyelets in between the two layers, because that is how I think it should be, but I don't know honestly. I was quite uncertain on how to sew this, because obviously I need a seam running around here and assembling the layers and the eyelets together, but I also need some sort of seam or channel to put my boning into. And I mean, the original that I based mine on, you can't really see what's happening there. It's very, very grainy. So I was looking into a similar pair, and here you clearly can see a seam running alongside the edge. At first I thought it was whip stitches, but looking at the other pictures, see if we can see here, it seems like it is some kind of back stitches. Or am I wrong? But well, let's try this side first and do some back stitches and see if it works. I mean, especially if these stays in place. That is really interesting. A tendency to overreact about things when it comes to sewing, but you know, when you have put down so much time and so much effort, the outcome of the project will affect you quite much. And now I have been working with this, not only this, I've been working with other things as well, but I have been working with this for over 2 months now. So of course, when things don't go as planned, they affect me. And also I really need to have this done now. I need to photograph this tomorrow, so when I tried it on yesterday and half of the metal eyelets broke, of course that affected me. I really put down my whole soul into those metal eyelets. They were so fiddly and I worked with them, but I got so happy with them because it was my first time trying that. I measured everything, I sewed them in place, I sewed the boning channels, all the seams there, I put the boning in, and then I wore it for just like 20 minutes or something, and half of them fell out. So I absolutely need to redo all of them. I was hoping that I could do that later on, because I don't have the time now, but I will not be able to wear it without replacing all of them. So what I need to do today is go and find new wire and make new eyelets, redo all the seams, and I mean, that was 2 days of work. It's just a sewing project. It's just a sewing project. And so my pair of stays was ready. This has absolutely been a very interesting but also very tricky sewing adventure, which makes it okay that the end result isn't perfect because I've learned so much from this. And I know, for example, that the back isn't perfect. It isn't even close to be perfect. And I will share with that in just a minute. And just because I had such a short amount of time, I didn't have the opportunity to change it, because maybe I could have done that. But I do still think that it's something with the construction of it. I don't know, but what I do know is that I still think it will be perfect as a base layer for my dress. And I mean, there are some other flaws with it. For example, the seams where the eyelets are didn't become as neat as the first ones I did, the ones I had to rip off. And also, for some reason, I can't lace it closed anymore, which is strange because I could do that before Christmas. Anyway, I really hope you liked this video, and as I said before, this is just the beginning of my little series, so part 2 will come, I will not say soon because these videos takes forever to make, but as soon as possible anyway. And until then, I hope you take care, and especially now, don't panic, wash your hands. Anyway, now it's time to show you the end result.